The skin within. There's a feeling everyone has at least once in their life, a sudden wrongness, like you're not alone, even when there's nobody there. Ben had that feeling every day for the past 2 weeks, and he was starting to think it wasn't his imagination. At first it was subtle. A light switch would be on when he swore he'd turned it off. Little things would go missing, then reappear. Every so often, he'd catch the faintest scent of something rotten, like spoiled meat, but it would vanish as quickly as it came. He even started hearing soft, barely there noises in his apartment at night. He figured it was just the old pipes. Then one evening, Ben looked down at his arm and saw a faint, perfectly straight line running across his forearm, from his wrist to his elbow. It wasn't a scar or a bruise. It looked like a seam, slightly raised, like a fold of his own skin. He ignored it, assuming he must have scratched himself at some point. But by the next morning, more lines had appeared on his body. Across his chest, down his back, and along his legs. They weren't cuts, they didn't hurt at all, and they didn't bleed. They were just there. The doctor he saw the next day dismissed them as some kind of skin irritation, giving him a cream that only made the lines itch. By that night, they'd become thicker, more pronounced, crisscrossing his body in strange, unnatural patterns. It was like his skin had been stitched together by something or someone that didn't care what a human body was supposed to look like. That night, he tried to sleep, but the itch grew unbearable. He could feel his skin tightening, stretching as if it was shrinking around him. He lay in bed, drenched in sweat, scratching and writhing as his skin seemed to close in on him down. Then he heard it. A voice, not in his head, but inside him, beneath the surface of his own flesh. "Let me out," it whispered. Ben froze, heart pounding so hard he thought it might burst. He sat up, too terrified to move, but the voice didn't stop. It became clearer, louder. "Let me out," it pleaded. "I'm trapped." He felt the lines on his skin start to pulse, like something was pressing against them, struggling to break free. He staggered to the bathroom, hoping he was still dreaming. Under the bright light, he could see something shifting beneath his skin, pushing up like hands, pressing against fabric from underneath. The lines were splitting, opening, revealing glimpses of something dark and writhing. Panicked, he grabbed a pair of scissors and, in a haze of desperation, sliced along one of the seams on his arm. Blood pooled, but what he saw beneath the surface wasn't muscle or bone or anything human. It was something else, something black and wriggling, like a mass of worms or veins, pulsing and twisting just beneath his skin. He cut deeper, and that's when the thing started to emerge. It was like a living shadow, slithering and writhing out of the incision, coiling around his fingers, then moving up his arm. It had no face, no shape, just an oily black presence, cold and slick. And the moment it touched him, he felt its hunger, a ravenous, bottomless need. It wanted to consume him, take his place, wear him like a suit. His skin began to peel back of its own accord, tearing along the seams that had formed, splitting open to reveal the thing underneath. He was watching himself be skinned alive, from the inside out, his own face twisted in agony, yet he couldn't scream. It was as if the thing was swallowing his voice, consuming every part of him. He stumbled to the phone, but his fingers were slick with blood and something else, something that pulsed and moved beneath his touch. The thing was taking control. His arms weren't his own anymore. His legs moved without him willing them. He felt his mouth stretch into a grin he hadn't chosen, his own eyes wide in terror as his reflection, no, the thing wearing him, smiled back. For a moment he felt himself pulled deeper, like he was sinking into a cold, dark ocean, drowning in himself as the thing fully inhabited his skin. And in those last fleeting moments of consciousness, he understood. The lines, the seams, the voice, they were never his. The thing wearing his skin stepped out into the night, testing its new form with each step, each breath, each hollow blink. It was hungry for more, always more. And it knew exactly where to find its next prey.